Haunting Gurus.
All right, just touching down from Planet Doom. It's our Haunting Guru guest, Brent Wilson. Hey, Brent, what's going on?
Hey, good evening. How you doing?
You know, I guess we're gonna do the normal thing that we do when I have haunters on the show. We're gonna kind of go through a little bit of your journey from a little tot, you know, probably from a trick-or-treater up through the madness that you're involved in now, because from what I understand, you're going pro as of this season.
That is correct, yeah. I started off doing home haunts as a kid in Miami, Florida. I was always a monster kid growing up. Rick Baker was my idol. I was a Fangoria subscriber, total monster kid. I'm 48 years old today, and I'm as much of a monster kid today as I ever was. And so, you know, we started out, my brother and I, we would stuff some clothes with newspaper and put zombies in the front yard and cover them in ketchup, and it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until 1994.
You know, that's how you get ants.
Yeah, believe me, I know all too well.
Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, yeah, no worries. But it was in 1994, we went to Orlando, Florida for Halloween Horror Nights when it first started over at Universal Studios. And that was amazing. But we were even more blown away by a year-round haunt that used to exist in Orlando called Terror on Church Street. My mind was flipping blown by that haunt.
You know, and oddly enough, the last person who I had on Hauntcast, Alan Hops,
yes,
talked about that exactly. Talked about the same thing.
Hilarious,
hilarious.
Right out of high school. He went with his family during high school and then graduated like 2 weeks later and moved to Orlando to go work there. That was a good call.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I went back to Miami, and I was like, man, I'm going to build a huge walk-through home haunt. And the Miami Herald newspaper came out, and it was my first walkthrough. That was 1994. We did 1,104 people in about 2 hours, and then the police came and shut us down. And then I went away to graduate school and ended up moving out west to the Rockies, and lived in a condo and didn't really do the haunting thing until I picked it back up again in Idaho a few years ago. We bought a small farm, and so we have a lot of land. And I was like, man, it's time to start doing haunts again, especially now that my son is getting older and he's into it as well. And so we started doing a private party where we invited our friends over and we had a walk-through haunt, and it just kept, again, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And, last year we opened it up to the public for the first time, had about 335 people come through, and just had a blast. And April of this year, our local pro haunt, the operator for 18 years, decided he was going to retire, and I just decided to jump on it. And so if you could see me right now, I'm covered in dirt and dust and grime. I'm working on getting Planet Doom moved into a 32,000 square foot building, and it's a heck of a lot of fun.
So he had quite a bit. So basically, did you buy the haunt off of him? Like, did you pay him a flat fee to just take whatever he had there, or are you just paying for the lease of the building and moving everything that you have in? How'd that work out?
That's a very good question. The situation with the Pro Haunt was that it was a charity haunt for DARE, the Bonneville County Sheriff's Office DARE program, and the DARE people, it was their only source of revenue for the program. They lost their funding from the state of Idaho years ago, and so I just reached out to DARE and I'm like, hey, you guys have this killer haunt, and you've got no one to run it. And why don't we do a joint venture where I'll run it, you guys will, you'll meet your needs for your program financially, and then if there's any profits, above and beyond that amount, we could split them. And so the Dare people, I sent them to YouTube to look at our walkthrough videos, and I gave a presentation, put together a business plan and some pro forma financials based on past attendance records, and they were like, heck yeah, let's do this. So I'm super excited. The haunt does about 17,000 people per year on average, and I'm thinking this year, because it'll be new, and because we're going to advertise like crazy, hopefully we'll do about 20,000 people this season.
Now, due to that, the fact that you're, basically sharing kind of the responsibilities, you're managing the haunt, you're building the haunt, you're bringing the actors in, training them, handling all of that. Do they step up with the money for the advertising? Do they do any promotions for you? Like, what do they do on their end?
So basically, I'm in charge of everything as far as the haunt, advertising, managing the volunteers and training the actors, running the haunt, building the props. They are basically in charge of keeping the building in good shape. In fact, they're about to replace the roof over here, which is, I'm very happy about it. It's needed. So basically, they take care of, they're on the hook with the landlord for the lease. They take care of paying the rent. They take care of keeping the building in good shape. They provide police officers for security, which is awesome. And they are some of the nicest people I've ever encountered, and they are just thrilled to have somebody who is obsessed with haunted houses that's willing to take over and run this thing. So it's kind of a match made in heaven. We're going to get along great.
Did you have anything of use that you're definitely keeping that was left over from last year's haunt?
Well, I just took possession of the building about 2 weeks ago. And so given that it's a 32,000 square foot haunt, I'm not going to be able to remodel more than maybe 25% between now and September. The prior operator did a great job. It was a good small town haunt. I would not describe it as a high tech haunt. There weren't any projections. The pneumatics were very simple. And that's fine. I mean, it was a great haunt. The scares were effective. The people in the community loved it. But we are going to be introducing projection effects and a lot of high tech stuff that I think people will respond to pretty well. I really have to get my learn on, though, as far as managing actors and getting throughput, where it needs to be. I'm reading Kelly Allen's book on haunt team management, and I've got Rich Hamp's manual on employee rules and procedures. So I'm just trying to digest as much intel as I can get and drink through a fire hose, because running a pro haunt is very different than a home haunt. I mean, it's amazing, but it's a business, and there's a lot of things you got to watch out for. We just invested in a 16 camera security system for the haunt, which is something I never had to worry about as a home haunter.
Yeah.
But it's all good. It's a flipping blast.
Now, is that a pricey piece of equipment to set up that kind of a security system?
Surprisingly, no. We're into it for about $650 for it's a 16 camera DVR, night vision system. It records sound and obviously does just fine in a haunt where there's not much light. It comes with a 4 terabyte hard drive, so I'm thinking with that much memory, we'll be able to record and keep everything all season. We'll be open during haunt season about 20 nights, and so with 4 terabytes, I should be able to keep all of the video on the hard drive for months in case something comes up.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have a massive amount of scare cam vids, huh?
Oh yeah, we're gonna milk the crap out of those for advertising next year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna install a scare cam still photo system too, like you see on Facebook all the time. When the people get the air blast cannon and they get scared and the photo snaps. We're going to do one of those too.
Is the haunt in the building itself? Is that a strip mall or is it like a little warehouse type scenario?
It is a former grocery store, which actually comes in really handy for haunted houses. For one example, we're remodeling the morgue right now. And they had this awesome walk-in freezer in the back of the grocery store and we just ripped the door off the hinges and put it in the morgue, and it fits right in. So yeah, the building's great. If we can get a new roof, then I am a happy camper with this building. It's got great ceiling height. It's got tons of power, more power than I will ever need. And the exiting works great. It's got, because it was a grocery store, it's got more parking than we'll ever need. So and it's in the geographic center of town next to the big local high school. It really could not be any better.
We'll return back to the pro haunt, but let's go back to your roots to the home haunt, because that's the video that I've seen on YouTube for the last couple of years. You have quite a bit of square footage to work with there at the house, and you have full walkthrough there, or you had, and you probably didn't have to worry about your neighbors complaining.
Not at all. Yeah, no, it was awesome. In fact, I invested in a 40 by 40 metal building to house the haunt on our property. And ironically, it's being built right now, and I'm not going to need it because we went pro. But yeah, no, it's a great property. We had about 600 square feet indoors through our garage, and then the balance of it was built outdoors underneath party tents. I had about 6 party tents and a bunch of pallets for the maze, and that was about 3,500 square feet total. So for a home haunt, it was quite big.
Yeah, those free pallets come in handy. I'm a big proponent of the free pallet. So I've seen many people use those to great effect. Because, when the lights are off, they had a great atmosphere. A great creepy, kind of an effect. And even though they're just a bunch of free freaking pallets,
And we get 60-mile-an-hour winds here in the winter, in the fall. And so, pallets versus solid walls, the pallets hold up much better in the wind.
Yeah, they really don't budge much. I don't have mine out that long, but I've had to really adjust my my walkthrough situation here at my place, due to the town, neighbors, stuff like that. So
sure,
I don't have much of that anymore, but we make do with what we can do. We've just got to throw stuff up. Mostly, it's all tarp now. I just basically took down all the wood. I built a bunch of 4x8 panel walls like everybody else in the haunt home haunt or pro haunt business does. But I was having a problem because they were considered a structure.
Sure.
So I went with PVC and a bunch of tarps I bought from Harbor Freight. So I've just kind of made enough of a somewhat maze or walkthrough out of those. Now the problem is I've got to get them up like the day or two before Halloween because they're gonna probably get blown over and knocked over. I have them roped off. I have the PVCs in like buckets of Quikrete. So there's all these buckets of Quikrete that are the base holding up the PVC poles. It worked last year really well. And I'm going to make it work again this year, and I'm going to try to get a few more years out of it, unless I have more problems with the town. So trying to skirt around all the loop, or get through the loopholes. I'm trying to continue to make it work. All right, so let's talk about we'll talk about some of the props and mechanisms that you've built over the last couple of years, or that you purchased. I was watching a video on the zombie breakout cage. What did you make that? Was that last year that you put that together?
I used it last year, but I actually built it two seasons ago, so I've used it for 2 years now.
One thing I didn't realize from watching your tutorial, how amazingly simple that effect is.
Yeah, that's about the easiest pneumatic prop you can ever build, and people that don't know any better will think it's a totally pro prop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not my idea. I stole it from Distortions and Poison Props. They've been doing it for years. But it's the easiest prop in the world to build. And you get a lot of bang for the buck.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Yeah, well, I thought that it was, multiple, pneumatic cylinders hooked up to that thing. And I see a video, and it's just one cylinder.
Well, I probably could have built it a little bit more legit. and I probably should have used 2 cylinders, but for a home haunt, it worked just fine. We're actually going to implement that in the pro haunt, and I'm going to use 2 cylinders. But even with 2 cylinders, you still just need 1 solenoid, and it's still a really simple prop.
Yeah, it's effective. It gets the job done. It's very cool. You also, what was a couple of the other ones that I came across? You did the Mrs. Slides.
Oh yeah, so one of my favorite horror movie characters ever is, if you've ever seen The House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price, the caretaker. There's a husband and wife, the Slides family, that's the caretaker of this haunted house, and Mrs. Slides is so freaking creepy, and I was like, damn it, I got to put her in the haunt. So yeah, I built a pneumatic prop where you walk by and a motion sensor picks up your presence and it triggers these 2 closet doors to open, and then all of a sudden on a scissor mechanism, Mrs. Slide comes out, and I had a rotary actuator on her head, so she's, it was a great mask by Jeff Depth over at Death Studios, with the cataracts and everything looks just like the woman in the movie. And it was people freaked out on that prop. I actually have some scare cam footage from that prop that I haven't put on YouTube. People went nuts. And it's not the kind of prop you would expect to see at a home haunt. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a scissor mechanism from Brent at DC, and probably the same damn mechanism you had. And
I'm sure it is.
I used it for a number of years, and I had one of his skeleton body forms. It's basically, it almost feels like a Nerf ball. The consistency of the body form. So yeah. Had a metal, like a metal armature, and it was just a great effect. I had it come out of a coffin, and I would have it come out with so much force. It was way too much force. It was constantly like breaking the coffin. I could get through if it made it through Halloween night, for 3 straight hours, I was shocked. One year out of all the years I ran it, I actually got an entire 3 hours out of it before it snapped all of the everything that I had that was mounting it and holding it to the ground and everything else. Super high end mechanism, and what a great effect. It really does get some great startles out of people. So phenomenal thing. You built one of the Casafear groundbreakers. I saw that in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I just ripped off Spencer at Casafear on that one, and it's still one of the greatest props ever. People in the haunt community are intimately familiar with it, but people that walk through your home haunt are like, holy crap! I've never seen that before. Oh yeah, it's old school.
Yeah, it's become about as common as a flying crank ghost in the haunt community, So
well, that's a testament to what a great prop Spencer designed.
Yeah. I was talking to him at Transworld, and I go, Spencer, do you understand that your name will be like synonymous with that prop? Like Phantasmachanics was, if anybody really knows. If we're going back to our history, kids, Phantasmachanics was pretty much one of the original prop builder and how-to people who put out the flying crank ghost, and what's the other one? The Axeworthy flying ghost. I guess Axeworthy was their haunt handle or something like that. All these cool mechanisms and projects that you've been working on over the last couple of years. What was the first prop that you ever built that you could stand back and go, wow, this thing is awesome? You were super happy about it.
It was actually that Mrs. Slides prop. I remember I built it and I was so flippin' proud, and I put the video on Haunter's Hangout, and somebody told me I was a Poison Props ripoff, and I was like, yes, I made it.
All right.
Yeah, they didn't realize I was a home haunter and I don't sell my props.
Yeah.
This was never going to end up at Transworld.
Oh, they were saying it as an insult?
They were saying it as an insult, and I was like, yes, that is the best compliment anyone could ever
that's
pay
what
me
we all do that. And you know what? They probably ripped it off from somebody else. So I'm sure they weren't the originators of that. They probably got the idea from who knows, Not Scary Farm or somebody, you know what I mean? Somewhere else.
Well, yeah, and the fact that I used a Death Studios mask on the prop, they ripped on me for that. That's what Adam always uses at Poison Props. I'm like, well, Adam doesn't have an exclusive on using Death Studios masks. I'm a home haunter. Come on, guys, stop being so petty.
Yeah, you don't have to spend $3,000 for the same thing you could make for whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
$500, $600, $800.
No disrespect to Poison Props. I mean, he's a great builder, but
yeah, absolutely. Adam's a great. I mean, look, I appreciate that, but when we have the kind of ducats to throw around to buy those things. Believe me, I was just on his website the other night and looking at that little. He has like one of those little like mad dog props. It's like he has two different versions of like the dog from a Hound from Hell, and he has like a small version of it that was around $1,300 that I was looking at that going, maybe, maybe.
He posted a video of it was a guy that was being strung up on chains, both his legs and his arms, and. Usually with pneumatics, they're awesome, but they're so herky-jerky, you can tell they're pneumatics. But Adam is building props now that are so realistic and lifelike, the movement. I'm just blown away. I can't even fathom how he achieves that. But yeah, one thing I can tell you after going pro, I don't have time to build props anymore. I'm busy doing sets, trying to build walls and wallpaper walls and distress walls and I don't think I'm going to be building props like I used to, and that's okay. I'm good with that.
Yeah, of course. That is the natural progression because when you don't have time, or when you factor in your time versus how much the prop really costs, you realize it probably is more cost effective for you to just buy the thing versus trying to build it. I mean, I've heard that from other vendors with like masks and things of that nature. I think when I was talking to Ben Armstrong one time, he says, "Look, I've got guys in there who can build amazing latex masks, but sometimes we just look at how much time and the materials to build it, and we see the composite effects on one of the other companies. We see their mask, and we go, no, let's just buy it. It's better. It makes more sense. It's probably cheaper for us in the long run. And based on the schedule, the clock's ticking. They've got things to do. They can't get bogged down with a mask or, let's say, a prop or something like that. But as far as the mechanisms and the articulation, I mean, I was looking at that little like hellhound dog prop. It appears, even though his jaw is not snapping shut, just with the way the jerky motion of the prop, it actually kind of appears like the mouth is moving up and down, just because of the way it's bouncing around. And that was a really cool effect because I'm like, I know that the job is not, that it doesn't have a mechanism in the jaw, but it just makes it kind of the way it's bouncing around. It seems like it's like snapping at you, which is awesome. Very cool.
He has achieved Jedi status as a builder, no doubt. I know you and I are both big fans of Midnight Studios and Kyle Thompson as well.
Oh, yeah.
That guy's amazing.
Dude, who was I talking to? I had someone on the show, and he said, the good thing about Kyle is he doesn't know how good he is, because if he did, his prices would be so much higher. And now I'm not saying his stuff is. I know. I will make sure that don't tell Kyle to listen to the show. All right.
Yeah, it's so true. I think the exact same thing. I'm like, I can't believe this quality for this price. It's amazing.
Yeah, I have about 3 different props, and I was looking at. I was just on a site the other night too, and I was like trying to get some ideas, and I'm like, what's he got new over here? I don't know. Like once again, once you get into the summer, it's a lot. It's kind of hard to be able to get these guys to turn out a product in time for Halloween. So I'm not sure that they would even have the turnaround time to get it to me. But I've had my eye on that Gillman-looking creature. I forget what the name of it is.
I love that.
Oh my God! And there's a few others that he had. And what was the other one that was a little? That was called, I think it's called the Trick or Treater or Trick or Treat. And it's just this bizarre-looking character. It stands about 5 feet high, so it actually is pretty tall. I thought it was smaller based on the picture, but it's another thing I'm looking at, going, I want that thing, and I may pull the trigger on it. I don't know. But
How about that Creepshow corpse? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, everything he has.
I want that.
I've gone through his entire site. He needs to upgrade that site. That's my only critique. He needs to update that to something more user-friendly. His website's really clunky, but just phenomenal. I mean, you don't get any better than that when it comes to even I have a couple of Unit 70 props.
Yes.
Kyle's stuff it's better. It's better.
It's movie quality. I mean, the guy's he's a total rock star, and he's the nicest guy.
Yeah, awesome. And okay, so let's see. I just came across this. It must have been. I don't know if it was a post or in one of your videos. You were talking about how that you actually had to fly down to LA last season in October for business, and then you were able to catch Not Scary Farm and go to Universal Halloween Horror Nights while you were out there, and that's a doubleheader if I've ever heard one.
It was amazing, it was all a business write-off. That was the beauty of it. But I'll tell you, Universal Studios does a great job, and they've got a humongous budget. You'll get total realism. But honestly, if I had to pick one over the other, I think what John Cook did with Not Scary Farm blew Halloween Horror Nights out of the water. That he did that Trick or Treat maze, and it's been open for years. And but last year they did it with those Gantum torchlights, and it was the coolest frickin' haunt. I mean, you could only see just barely enough to navigate where you were going, and it was just fantastic. And then they opened last year this dark ride themed haunt it was an abandoned dark ride that had been taken over by homeless people and squatters, and it actually was haunted. It was the coolest freaking ride. I think it'll be open again this year at Not Scary Farm. And if you're listening to this and you get a chance to go and definitely go through the dark ride maze. It will knock your socks off. There's videos on YouTube if you can't make it out there. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, that sounds so cool. Now, I did go to Halloween Horror Nights, the 25th anniversary down in Orlando, and I would have to say that I did enjoy myself through the first couple of haunts before the crowds came rushing in. Like I laid over. I got park tickets in the day. They had like a containment area where you could go to a couple of restaurants and bars and hang out. They would let you in about a half hour or so before they let the general audience who are just coming in for Halloween Horror Nights.
Right.
So I got a jump start, got through a couple of haunts, and because it wasn't a conga line at that point, it was phenomenal. Great startles, lots of scares. Then once the crowds came rushing in, everything was one giant freaking like Disney wait line, going through a big conga line. And it was just, all I could see the scares happening like right in front of me because, they were, jumping out like 10 or 20 feet in front of me. So by the time I got there, I already knew they were there. Or, they were resetting. So I'm walking by and they're waiting for the next group of people. And it was just, I missed almost all of the startle scares. Through almost every other haunt. I went through the Walking Dead haunt, same thing. Great sets, enjoyed the eye candy. But as far as actually the startle scares, and there was like almost none. It was almost non-existent. So I was a little disappointed by that. So I wouldn't be in a hurry to rush back. Whatever. It was still a good experience, and I'm definitely glad I did it. So
yeah. The other thing I don't understand about Universal too is in their mazes, they will have ushers that are just in plain clothes with flashlights.
Oh my God. That was another, now that you mention it, that was the other thing. It takes you out of the scene. There is a guy in like a blue coat, like a blue windbreaker with his staff thing on there, a security like printed across the front every 10, 20 feet. So you're constantly in scene, walking by security people. It's really odd, and it really takes you out of the scene. Like, it's hard to, stay in the set, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, how hard is it to put those guys in character so you don't blow the whole vibe? I mean, that's the other thing I don't understand. But
yeah,
I mean, the effects are amazing. Their projection effects, the Shining Maze, that projection with Jack and the kids on the tricycle, that was amazing. But yeah, there's a lot of things the way they run the haunts, I don't really understand. I thought Not Scary Farm was way better.
Agreed. Yeah, I haven't been there, and I probably won't be in the near future. At some point, we'll try to get out there. In your general area, do you have other home haunters who are in like driving distance that you? I think you also said that you actually went out and did a little home haunt tour and hit a bunch of little local haunts.
Yeah, we actually we don't have really any home haunts locally. There's a guy, Austin, that does a yard haunt. I reached out to him last year. I was trying to make it over there to see it, and I never heard back. But no, we have some good local haunts. And then I'm located 3 hours north of Salt Lake City, and we have a couple of world-class haunts in Salt Lake City. The Nightmare on 13th is like the Intermountain West version of the Darkness. It is fantastic. And then there's another killer haunt called Fear Factory in Salt Lake City. And I get down there at least once a year. In fact, both of those haunts are doing a Friday the 13th event next month. And so we'll be heading down for that. But as far as home haunting, it's almost non-existent where I live. But we do have some pretty good, local pro haunts. And the best one was the one that went out of business.
Back to your pro haunt again. You said you were adding some like video projection, some more high-tech type effects. What do you have going into the haunt this year?
One of the challenges is I've got this haunt that I've inherited that I don't have time to completely remodel. And there's like 30 different themes. There's 35 different rooms, and there's like 30 different themes. So there's like the clown rooms, and then there's like the haunted mansion, and then there's like the zombie area. And so there's no cohesive theme. So what I'm trying to do is just, because this year I'm not going to have time to completely revamp the haunt, I'm just going to embellish what's already here. So we have an insane asylum area, and from High Res Designs I picked up, they've got this killer effect. It's we're going to have a monitor as you're entering the asylum area, and it looks like you're looking at security cameras, and there's a 4-camera screen where you're looking at these people in padded cells, and they're doing all kinds of crazy behavior. So we'll be doing that as people are walking into the asylum area of the haunt. And then in the queue line, you've probably seen the high-res haunt rules deal, where you think you're looking at a sign that's giving you all the rules to the haunt, and then abruptly this jump scare happens, and this screaming woman pops up on the screen. And so that'll be a lot of fun to scare people before they actually get into the haunt. And then, we're going to have some other projections, like one of my not really complaints, but one thing about the prior operator that I didn't necessarily understand is there are some very, very long, straight, dark corridors in the haunt with nothing going on. And so I got this idea. We've got this long black corridor, and because of exiting issues and permitting issues, I can't change it this season. So I'm stuck with it. And so we're going to project, in The Exorcist, where they just flashed that Pazuzu face for a split second. I got the idea from The Exorcist. We're going to project an evil face in that long, dark corridor for a split second. So, the first time it flashes, you might be like, what the heck was that? And you may not even realize what you just saw. But I always thought, as a home haunter, I'm like, someday I'm going to be a pro haunter, and I'll know I made it when I have a Gorgalore giant actormatronic. And I'm proud to announce that I'll have one here by August 15th.
Cool.
I'm beyond excited about that. I mean, I've ever since going to Transworld for the first time years ago and seeing what Gorgolor had, I've always wanted a giant actor-matronic. And so I feel like this year is the year I made it. I'm absolutely thrilled. And then I've got some more cool stuff from Kyle Thompson on the way over at Midnight Studios. I've got, it's hard to keep track because, like I said, we've got 35 scenes. And I have 2 giant dry erase boards in the back of the haunt just to keep track of everything. Otherwise, I'd lose my mind. So trying to think what else we've got. I'm trying to do not a whole lot as far as pneumatics. I've got the crazy thing about this haunt is I've got 4 65-gallon compressors, way more air than this haunt ever needed. So I'm good there. But I've got a lot of mazes where we're using vacuform panels from Night Scream or Nethercraft. And so it's just a tremendous amount of fun. It's a little overwhelming, but man, is it fun. I literally, my office where I have my real job is about 4 miles from the haunt. And literally every freaking day I go on my lunch hour, I go to the haunt and work. I mean, that's how much I flippin' love this. This is the coolest. This is the coolest thing ever. It's like a 32,000 square foot man cave, and I'm happy as a clam.
Living the dream. Living the dream.
Yeah, that old cliche: if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door.
Yeah.
So when this guy bailed, I just called up Darren. I'm like, hey, I'll do it. It's not practical, but man, is it fun,
buddy? I'm excited for you.
Thanks.
I barely know you, but I'm excited. Well, I feel that I really have gotten to know you, and it's the beginning of a beautiful friendship. No, I'm only kidding. So anyway, but awesome. I'm telling you, we're all going to we're going to keep an eye on your progress. I take it now because you're so friggin' unbelievably overwhelmed and busy that your crazy videos with all the schlocky B-movie clips are going to probably drop by the wayside. And
no way, man. No way. I'm a B-movie junkie. I know. That's kind of my thing. I love compiling B-movie footage and putting loud music to it. And no, I'm not going to stop doing that. I probably won't be doing. One of my deals now that we're pro is I really can't show a whole lot as far as what's going to be in the haunt.
Of course.
Yeah, you know how that goes. But yeah, I mean, we're going to be doing updates on, I'll try and videotape the actor training, and man, that's going to be interesting. I've got a lot to learn.
So people can maybe check out your progress or, just keep track with what's going on with you. Where can they find you on the interwebs? Where are you on? Are you on the Evil Book of Faces and all those places?
Yeah, it's actually the same. It's the same name for all of them. It's Planet Doom Haunt. So on YouTube, it's Planet Doom Haunt. Facebook, it's Planet Doom Haunt. The website is planetdoomhaunt.com. Hit me up. Love to connect with haunt people. Friend me on Facebook. Anybody that's a haunter is a friend of mine because we share that obsession. So.
Sweet.
I'm stoked that you and Johnny are back at it, man. So thank you, Chris.
Yeah, we're dancing monkeys, man. That's what we are. Just here for you, All right, brother. Well, hey, look, it was a great pleasure talking to you, and I'm excited for you, and have a rocking season if I don't talk to you beforehand, and we'll catch you around the net.
I'm going now. Heaven help you.
Please like and follow the podcast. Stalk us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Links in the description. And help us by sharing Hauntcast with all your haunted Halloween brethren. Until next time, stay scary.